Welcome everyone to another edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants. I am your hardcore host Rick Head, and I'm joined by the hardcore crew. First, from the Lord Skeldron, he is Joseph Knight. What's Joe? What's shaking?
Not much is hot like freaking hell. The wrestling world is starting to pick up, I see.
Yeah, a lot of changes in WWE, whether they're going to be good or bad. That's going to be a very interesting topic to talk about tonight. And then over Lance Moss TV, he's the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, what's shaking?
Not too much. It's just hot than a son bitch here.
Well, you know, it's down south is always hot as a son of a bitch. But you know what? Real quick before we get on to other topics, I watched Raw this past Monday night, and I was able to watch more than the whole episode without throwing up. That says something, Joe.
That does say something. I don't know if it because it put you to sleep or it was.
No, I enjoyed it. I can say I watched it, and for like I'd say for the most part, it was an enjoyable show.
Then you know what? If that is the case, then I think we are going in the right, or should I say WWE is going in the right direction, and hopefully they can keep following through on it. We don't need, and I'm going to say this real quick, we don't need them repeating the mistakes. 50 interviews, bad characters, short stories that begin and then stop. We don't need that. We need action. That's why AEW kicks their asses all the time. It's because no matter what, at least they got action. WWE is just at times very garbage. So let's see the reigning CEOs, Stephanie Vince McMahon, and Tony Khan's secret brother Nick is going to make things run. Then you got the I'm the game, I need to steal all the spotlight, Speaking about stealing, they're planning to bring back Sasha and Naomi.
Yes, again.
That's going to put butts in seats.
Another topic we will be talking about very shortly. But you know what, guys? Why don't we go ahead and talk about this past week's SummerSlam? Now, I'm still a little weirded out the fact that WWE decided to have pay-per-views on Saturdays rather than Sundays. I don't know what that's all about. Personally, I like Sundays, but unfortunately, WWE never really gives a shit. Some real quick highlights. No titles were changed. Liv Morgan defended her title against Ronda Rousey. Thank you, Ronda Rousey. And it was kind of like there was some kind of question because what had happened is Rousey had Morgan in a cross armbar. And while Morgan was able to pin her in a combination, and as just the ref was counting, Liv tapped out, but the ref didn't see it. So at the end of the day, the ref's word is final. So, Joe, what's your thoughts on, that whole scenario?
Well, I saw it. I managed to catch SummerSlam. I was at work, had nothing to do. I thought, let me torture myself in isolation by watching this pay-per-view. Wasn't bad. I gotta admit, it wasn't bad. But the whole Liv Morgan, Ronda Rousey, I'm glad Rousey is taking a time off, a suspension, even though it's a kayfabe. She's been told to, take a break. They gave the girl with absolutely no fucking wrestling ability the win, and it was a good win. Let me say this. It was very believable, something that WWE Rick rarely does. And they made it to look like, okay, Liv Morgan took a beating. I wasn't expecting much out of this match, and it proved it wasn't high in expectations. In great wrestling matches, it was a 2 because of Liv Morgan, and not anything. She's a great eye candy. It's just technically she's not a fucking great wrestler. She's not even a good wrestler. She's not even a lousy wrestler. She goes below that. But they made the baddest girl on the planet, somebody who could legitimately beat the shit out of Liv Morgan, give her a beating, and Liv Morgan got a sneak win. And it's very good because if you look at the angles, it spells Rick return match later down the road.
Absolutely. Lance, your thoughts on that match?
Okay. One, it was rushed like a son of a bitch. But I also know why it was rushed and sloppy, because from what I understand, the Miz and Logan Paul's match went way longer, so they had to cut it from somewhere. And let's face it, Ronda is still kind of green, and so is Liv. They've really been put in that situation before, so I think they both got kind of frazzled when they got told they had, about 5 minutes for the whole damn thing?
Well, I wouldn't say Liv Morgan's green. Maybe
Yes,
your
she
tongue
is.
is. But, well, you know what? Come on, let's look at Logan Paul. There's Logan Paul versus The Miz. And, we all said, yeah, he's going to win because he's a celebrity. And I guess now he's trying to, become a full-time wrestler. And I just, honestly, I'm not a fan of the guy. I wish I could say I was, but I'm not. He does have some nice spots, but overall, it's nothing that you couldn't see at a bingo hall wrestling event.
You know what? Let me, Rick, let me toss this in. Terry 3Gs is in the YouTube channel. Again, everybody who wants to join us on YouTube, just go to YouTube. Just go into Hardcore Wrestling Rants, and you will find us. He says, now I'm here, and hello to the panel and the chat. So welcome, Terry.
Welcome, Terry. Glad to hear you. It's our common guest as always. Now, there were a couple of other things that happened. There was Bianca Belair retiring her title against a heel, Big Time Bex, but it looks like she had changed it. It looked like she was changing character, obviously, because at the end of the match, although she dislocated her right arm, she extended her left arm to Bianca, and the two hugged it out, and it was all good. Then briefly, we saw the return of Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky, not to be who was formerly known as Io Shirai. And they have formed some kind of a faction. Right now, the name is yet to be known. They're just still trying to take effect on things. But anyways, Big Time Bex, or Becky Lynch, stood next to Bianca, and they said, hey, let's give you 2 against 3, not 1 against 3. Joe, what do you make of this whole new stable?
Hey, it's the WWE version of the baddies. It's just that they made it multiracial. They have different nationalities in this. Before I go into that, Tennille Dashwood, everybody knows who Tennille Dashwood is. She looks like engaged to Madcap Moss. She actually posted that on Twitter, so I'll just throw that out there real quick. I saw the thing and coked up Becky. She kicked out of my 2 count. I guess they finally realized that, okay, look, we got to turn this chick. Her Big Time Bex gimmick is already phasing out. It's time to put a new direction. I agree. They needed to move this girl into a whole different direction. And I guess being a babyface now, we'll get to see, babyface Bex now? And seeing, what was the other girls, Shirai and whoever. And
it was Dakota Kai, Io Sky, and Bayley.
Okay. Well, like I said, the baddies for the WWE version. Notice, they do, in AEW, they do the House of Black, and WWE did their whatever Edge group name, Shadow's background, who knows
Judgment
what
Day.
the fuck. Yeah, that shit. Sounds like a remake of that group that they had with all the masks and all that. It just sounds like the name is similar. I don't know, folks. I don't follow WWE as much as like I used to. Talk to me in the 80s, we'll get somewhere. But Rick,
well,
then they did the baddies in AEW, and now look, a new version of the baddies in WWE.
Well, I would not compare WWE's baddies, as you call them, to AEW's baddies, because you have Jade Cargill, who is the reigning TBS champion for, I don't know, since she first got it. This going on, 6 to 8 months now, somewhere around there, guys?
Something like that.
And then, of course, and then you have Becky Lynch. I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong notes. Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky, who was never really a dominant champion. I'll say Bayley had her time, but, she got a few titles here and there. Moving on, one more note about Becky Lynch turning babyface. This was apparently Triple H's decision. So even though Lynch will be out for several months. So unfortunately, we won't be seeing the Man or any other rehash character she chooses to come back.
Yeah, she got to go back to rehab.
Yeah.
Kicked out. Oh, she kicked out.
She goes from She can go from Coke binge Becky to the man.
Yeah. And it's honestly, I wouldn't like. A lot of people was not liking the big time Bex. I didn't like it. It was like a polar opposite. It was she was trying to be like a male Seth Rollins, which is her husband, and I get it, but still, the character just was not working on any level. She wasn't even getting boos; she was just like getting crickets. So,
Oh yeah, they were all wondering. First of all, what the fuck is wrong with her makeup? Did Seth beat her in the back or something? You look at that fucking splash job. Is she a Viking or something with that war paint on her face? And then when anybody kicks out of her finisher, she's in coked up mode instead of hulking up. It's like coked up. Thank you, Lance. Come on now. And then it's like the hair color was really bad. The style is like there was a story many, 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 many years ago where they said Roddy Piper was he was practicing for a role in a movie, and they told him one of the things was he shocked his finger in a light socket to get the experience of being in shock. Like, I guess Becky went to the same school.
Interesting.
Yes, I will have that, Rick, that story for you.
All right, yeah, I'll look forward to that one. Now with the whole new management, WWE management, there's word that Sasha Banks and Naomi are possibly returning to WWE. Right now, apparently the two sides are talking. Now, Joe, I know how much you love, Sasha Banks being the best wrestler in the world. Please, give us your thoughts on them possibly returning along with Naomi.
Boss, hang on, because I know where this is going. It's Joe at SkullandDrum.com. I'm preemptive.
You know what? Thank you, Lance. Let me just roll up my sleeve, crack my knuckles, put my balls in a good position, because this is going to be a good one. First of all, I don't have a problem with Naomi. I think Naomi was screwed on this by believing a moron, an egotistical, skinny little piece of shit whose claim to fame is her uncle, cousin, brother, sister, somebody she fucks in the family. It's Snoop Dogg. Now, let me not just say that the girl doesn't know her craft. She does. She knows how to put on moves. So does a monkey if you train it long enough. Sasha Banks, she's way too much. They give her too much credit. She's overrated. Stop that, Terry. I know he's laughing right there. It's just, I just don't find nothing interesting in Sasha Banks. She is a good worker. She causes a lot of botches, like the behemoth that left with this Nia Jax, who looks better now than she did in WWE. And she does stupidity. She pulls this innocent girl whose only problem she has is that she has to wonder every night after a pay-per-view if her husband's going to come home drunk or what, or arrested. So I don't care for Sasha Banks. I think they could do better if they just bring Naomi back and give her a singles run or put her in a faction. I think it'll be a lot better for Naomi. I like Naomi. I think she's underrated and needs more attention and work. There we go.
All right. Now, Lance, let me ask you this. Now that if Naomi and Sasha Banks do return, are they going to bring back the titles, or do you think WWE's just finally said, you know what, this was a mistake to begin with?
I think they're going to keep the title, bring the titles back, but if they do keep them as a tag team, it'll be for a short period of time until they drop the belts, and then I'd like to see Naomi join her husband in the bloodline and give them some a female presence in there, but that probably won't happen either. But
Rick, also, I did read that they put the women's tag team titles in a tournament, so there is an actual tournament going on. I think it's on NXT.
Oh no, that was for the NXT women's title.
Oh, NXT women's title
last night.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that. Who won that, by the way?
One of them used to be Casey Catanzaro and her, basically her partner.
Okay.
Casey Kasem on with the countdown.
Actually, I haven't watched NXT in a while. Hopefully, when they go to Black and Gold, I'll go check that out again. But right now, I'm trying to deal with SmackDown and Raw and see if they're still worthy. So far, right now, this week, like I said, I'll just have to wait in SmackDown and see if they're really turning things around. Hopefully. There was a rumor stating that Brock Lesnar was going to be leaving or retiring from wrestling. Apparently, this stems off the fact of what happened when Brock Lesnar was about to walk out a couple of weeks ago after he found out that Vince McMahon was stepping down or retiring. Obviously, cooler heads prevailed. He finished it out on SmackDown. He went to SummerSlam. And now he's being booked or slated for Day 1 on January 1st, and that's in Atlanta. So I'm pretty sure that, Brock Lesnar, he's not going to, still do his sporadic matches, but I don't think he's going to be wrestling day in and day out. He never has for a long time. He probably won't ever will again. Joe, your thoughts on this rumor killer?
Yep, I did hear about that, and I'm just going to say this. Brock has the Goldberg contract where he can come back every so often and wrestle. Nothing wrong with that. You get a huge payday once in a while to come in. Now, notice they put him for Day 1. Now, anything can happen from now to Day 1, but if that's an indication that maybe after a certain period that, who knows, maybe Roman Reigns will have lost the belt by that time, or will still have it and lose it to him then, because it has been, I got to say, from the pay-per-view, which was well done, I'm got to give both guys credit. They did a hell of a good pay-per-view match, and Brock literally destroyed the ring, showing that he's a true farm boy.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to be honest. When I saw that, I was like, holy shit, that's definitely a first. I don't think I've ever seen that in wrestling. We've seen people go through the ring. We've seen people go through the Hell in a Cell. People pop out of the ring, fire rings, but I've never seen a ring demolished.
It just proves there's rednecks all over the world.
Yeah. Here's something funny, though, Rick. There's another thing, too. That's just one of the incidents within a WWE ring, because Stone Cold did ram the ring with a beer truck. Yeah. The Big Show, I think somebody suplexed the Big Show.
It was Brock Lesnar and Big Show where they suplexed each other. That was before he left the first time.
Right, so there you go. So Brock continues the destruction in the ring, so of the ring.
Brock smash.
He could be the Hulk, you know that?
I don't know, with that big ass tattoos and shit. I honestly don't think he has the look for it. Moving on, there was a lot of rumors about Paige heading to AEW now that her contract is gone from WWE. However, Paige came forward and said that she is not going to AEW yet. Right now, she's currently writing a book about her personal life. And I think she still has a couple of other wrestling obligations outside of WWE that she's doing. So other than that, it's going to be at least another 3 to 6 months before she even considers heading over to AEW. Lance, your thoughts?
Well, that book, it's probably going to come with some videos, but yeah. And hopefully, let's face it, it's been, 2 or 3 years since she's even been inside the ring in a competitive form. So, yeah, her going somewhere else to get some of the ring rust off of her before she even thinks about going to AEW, good thing.
Well, Joe, let me ask you this. Even if Paige does go to AEW, hypothetically, somewhere in the future, there have been a few dream matches. She said she would love to wrestle Britt Baker. But do you really see her being a full-time wrestler in AEW, or do you think she would be a better asset as either a manager or maybe even helping creative in the back?
Well, first of all, I noticed the title of her hardcover book is going to contain a centerfold, and it's called I Slut. How I creamed my belt. There's really, when you look at Paige, there is really, and I gotta say this honestly, there is nothing that really, how can I put this? There's nothing really that she stands out in today's generation. Has hurt her neck. She's not somebody that can wrestle 24/7. Okay. So overall, if she came back, she'd be okay as a commentator on Dark or Elevation, or if they do a European tour, they could do that as well, where she offers her commentary, because she could go back to her family's wrestling company, But overall, I don't see anything really. Paige is going to be so out of her element. It's like AJ Lee. They're already beyond the point right now that it's not necessary, Rick. She should just stay away from the big leagues, maybe make an appearance. Hi, guys. I'm here. Find two guys in the locker room. Maybe she could get Scorpio Sky and the other jerk off, and maybe they could produce a threesome video.
One can only wish. One can only wish. On a side note, Paige is still very young despite her neck injury. She's only 29. And I'm sure she's had that time to recuperate, more than enough time, plus the time to do her book. But I think when Paige first came to the WWE, she was more of a cult following. Everybody, a lot of the indie wrestling fans knew who she was. A lot of people over in Britain obviously knew who she was due to the Knight family. So when she came over, that's how she got that pop, So, and I had to agree to a point. She did get a little bit of bland, and even though it's been a couple of years, I really can't say I miss her, considering all the other talents been coming in into wrestling nowadays, especially now in the AEW.
You know what, Rick? I don't want to cut you off, but Terry says if she went to AEW, she would be like how Sting is right now, used like a mentor in the back, but nothing big. By the way, that picture of Paige now, is good to see her face cleaned up and her hairstyle differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, she's been doing. She wants to call us Sarah Knight now, but despite that, though, she's been showing a lot of profile pics, and you can tell in many ways she's done a far look. She looks a lot better than she did before when she was just running around in a black leather jacket.
Yep, and just for the record, just because her last name is Knight, it has no relation to me.
All right. Apparently, we have an update on the Nick Aldis and Billy Corgan story. These two have been having heat for the past couple of weeks, and right now, Billy Corgan stated that Nick Aldis has been nothing but a headache, despite being the highest paid wrestler. Now, Aldis has turned around and claiming that he's not been getting paid, and he regrets not signing with AEW back in 2019. On a recent podcast, Corgan announced that Nick Aldis has been pulled from NWA's 74 championship match. Now, Tyrus from TNA will take on Trevor Murdoch for the NWA title. Joe, you know what? When you have a talent and an owner that go head-to-head like that, especially your top guy, that's really, something that you want to try to avoid.
First of all, Trevor Murdoch as your world champion, that's going to put butts in seats. He is not like Dick Murdoch or Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch. God, is the NWA still alive? It must be eating away at Billy Corgan's money, because they are nowhere near Impact level at this point. Nick Aldis made a mistake. He should have gone with AEW. I think he still can. And probably fit maybe in Ring of Honor or AEW. I think more he could be the guy who shapes and runs and controls Ring of Honor. That could be the face of that company. Honestly, this is a laughable thing, and to me, people make a mistake and now he's paying for it. But it's not too late, Nick. You can still just ask Daddy Tony to give you some money, and he will put you somewhere. Rick, are we going to go with the rest of the SummerSlam matches or no?
We were just
because I do owe you a kudos on one of the matches.
Which was that?
Well, you did pick the dark side, and Bobby Lashley did win.
That's true.
Rants?
Okay.
GoldenDrum.com.
Thank you.
There we go. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I was just talking about the key title matches that were really necessary on that one. We saw Edge return to Judgment Day, dismantle Judgment Day, but that still is something that it kind of confuses me. I don't get when a former a leader of a faction brings these people together. Not even a few weeks later, he's taken out. It's and then he comes back as the rated R superstar. I mean, how fast? I mean, that's like pretty quick change in gimmicks, Joe. That wasn't even a year.
And there's a story behind that, I'm sure. I think they even said that I don't know if it was he wanted more money or that maybe creative decision. I think it was more creative decision that they wanted to do something different with the character or with the group, and I guess they wanted to make it more supernatural. I think that was the rumor going around, and he said no. Even though technically, if you look at the entrance and everything, it is supernatural. But I guess he didn't. There was some disagreements with that, so he didn't. He took offense to it, and it didn't. Put it like this: they could have thought of this better, and they could have built it up to maybe him getting something, and then making them kick him out of the group in a more meaningful way than just, okay, we're turning against him the next night and he's thrown out. Like, you're stealing our thunder. Bye. We're here, not you, old man. They could have done that. It would have made more sense. We used you to get in the spotlight. That's it. I don't think they could have done anything more. I think honestly, it's just one. I think there are times when I even say myself that guys, they legends like Edge and other people have a place in the business. And sometimes seeing them draws ratings, and they do.
Well,
keeping them long lasting, no.
Well, again, you talked about the Sting scenario where he could have been like a mentor, where he's just pretty much Darby Allin has taken like 95% of the stuff. They could have left it there. Because right now, at the time before Judgment Day happened, Rhea Ripley was she was on the rise, but she was like, I don't know if she moved up from NXT. Finn Balor.
Well, she was kind of. I think she was kind of stagnant after losing the belt to Charlotte Flair. Finn Balor got always the worst luck.
Yeah.
In any type of championship, and I forgot. And the other
Damian
guy,
Priest.
Damian Priest, who's I think he's a great talent who can get something. He was, on the rise, and then they took the U.S. belt off of him. It didn't make sense, but hopefully it helps these guys and girl together to do something worthwhile. Right now, again, they're looking like chumps. Finn Balor's losing. They're losing. They're getting beat up. By the way, Terry says in the locker room, yeah, in the chat room, he says, you know what's saving NWA? Velvet Sky. It's better than Angelina Jolie. Trust me, I'd rather have Velvet Sky than Angelina Jolie. Or Angelina, what is it? Love.
Angelina Love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my God, she looks like death warmed over, and that was years ago. I haven't seen her recently.
Well, she was at a convention. Let me just say this, Rick. I'm sorry to cut you. Angelina Love was at a convention not too long ago here in Pennsylvania, and let's just talk about good makeup. They actually covered her up, and she didn't look that bad.
All right. Well, I don't know. She must gotten some heavy facelifts and shit. Lance, I want to get back to the issues between Nick Aldis and Billy Corgan. What's your take on this whole situation?
Well, okay. Granted, Billy Corgan owns the promotion, and well, Nick You might want to ask Mickey if she can get you a job with Vince or in Impact, because you done pissed off the guy with the pocketbook.
Well, that's true, but I mean, he even he could play the role of a promoter and say, well, you know what? Guess what? You're not going to be on TV, and now you're going to have to sit out and wait out your career. I think his career, Joe, if I'm not mistaken, is like 2024 or 2025. So
For his current NWA contract,
I believe so.
Yes, till 2024. That is the deal. But unless he has a provision in there that can allow him creative freedom and break the contract, or that there's something he could sit out his contract and get paid for it, I don't know. Normally, that's what they would do in circumstances. And knowing that Billy Corgan's a mark, he probably had that in the contract and didn't realize it.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. He is also a musician that's gotten yanked around by contracts. You ain't gonna fuck Billy Corgan over with a contract.
And that's another fair point. Again, at the end of the day, whether you like Billy Corgan as a wrestling promoter or not, he's a businessman. So we got, and these two might kiss and make up in a couple of weeks, and maybe Aldis will get his head out of his ass, because he was known to be very arrogant when he was in Impact Wrestling. I can understand his frustration, because the whole roster was frustrated at the time under the guidance of Dixie Carter. And then he made a bigger mistake when he went to Jeff Jarrett's GFW, Global Force Wrestling. That was lasted about 30 seconds. Moving on, I want to talk about Ric Flair, who's had the last match. And he's still alive, guys. He didn't die. That was pretty much everybody's concern. Is this guy even going to get past the match? But he didn't. He wrestled very little. But he did wind up getting the pin after he knocked out Jeff Jarrett with some brass knuckles while the ref was down. So Flair retired, showing that he is still the dirtiest player in the game. What's your thoughts, Lance?
Okay, I saw this match on somebody's vlog that I watch on YouTube, and honestly, he should have let the match at WrestleMania with Shawn Michaels. He should have let that been it.
I agree, but you know what, Joe? Like all older wrestlers, they just have a real issue stepping out of the spotlight. We've talked about this time and time again with other wrestlers, and Flair is again one of those guys that was very hard to let go.
Yeah, he looked like. I saw him in the T-shirt and how he looked. And I'm not gonna totally disrespect Ric Flair, because he is an icon in the business. Yeah. He is the legend. He's a guy that when I looked at Hulk Hogan and I saw there's got to be an alternative, Ric Flair was the man. Now the guy who wrestled or somewhat wrestled that night looked like if they took Mermaid Man out of SpongeBob and put him in tights.
Oh Jesus, yeah, it was looking pretty rough. But Joe, if there's one thing you can take away from that whole match, Joe, it was Ric Flair knocked off Jeff Jarrett. So
yeah, and that's another thing. Out of everybody, Jeff Jarrett must be the guy. Look, I'll do it for a couple. I'll do it for a couple pennies and for maybe a hamburger. Please keep giving me paycheck. Nobody wants me. The man who couldn't draw a fucking dime is getting work everywhere. They had him as a referee in SummerSlam. Then he ran quickly over to
StarCast 5.
To StarCast, and a good friend of mine, John Arezzi, showed me a picture with Jarrett and Karen Angle. I'm like, okay, that's not bad, but you could tell like Jeffrey there is like, definitely needs money because he's doing everything possible. This whole match spelled disaster, because it was like the match was, again, Ric Flair did have his retirement match back when he took on Shawn Michaels, when he had at least a decent build and a decent look, but Again, I'm sorry, it just did not look. It did not go well. They had Andrade the El Idioto taking on Black Machismo. And that's not a riff to what's his name, Jay Lethal, because Jay Lethal's a good worker. But I'm gonna say this: the whole Ric Flair. I mean, it looked like he had a onesie, and then it didn't age well, Rick. It just didn't look. He should have just called it back, then retire, make a couple of autograph signings and podcasts, and he would have been fine.
You know what? You're probably right. And again, everybody talks about how his alimony and child support payments and all this, and how he's near broke. But I mean, he worked within the WWE outside of wrestling. He was working with his daughter Charlotte for about a year on and off. So he was making money there, and he's still legendary. He can walk into any place and do signings and for a decent price. Lance, your take on that whole last match?
Well, like I said, he should have let the match with him and Shawn be it. I mean, I understand why Andrade was there. It's his son-in-law. Jay Lethal actually was the dude he was training with for this match. Jeff, I guess
needs some money.
Somebody that can do a worse strut than him and make that one look, because his strut looks a little.
Yeah. His strut always looked pitiful, even when he was Jeff Jarrett in the 80s and 90s. It just didn't have it
when he was here.
It's funny. The biggest claim to fame Jeff Jarrett has is lip syncing "With You Be My Baby Tonight."
All right, and one of the last.
Know?
What's that?
I said, "Oh, you didn't know?"
Oh, yeah, I knew it. I think everybody else knew. Now, the reports are claiming the long-awaited AEW's Fight Forever game is supposed to be out in September. However, Ukes has yet to make an official release date. Another report saying that Fight Forever will be released on December, some late time in mid to late December. I've been watching a lot of the different videos and stuff, and they announced they're having several different types of matches. The singles, tag, trios, ladder match, casino, battle royale, lights out and barbed wire exploding death match. However, the one match that was not mentioned was blood and guts, and I was really kind of upset about that.
A dildo on a pole match for all you hardcore perverts.
Yeah, I don't think they did that one yet, but you know what? Hey, you can always hope for the future. Anyways, so far there is a creative character, Joe. They talked about how you can do creative character, entrance, arena, the whole 9 yards, but they really didn't go deep into what's going on in the storyline. A lot is not being said despite what we're seeing.
Before I go into that, Terry says he's asking for Billy to give him Siamese Dreams, aka Boo Bye. I don't know who that is. All this will be perfect in the Steven Regal faction, in the Blackpool Black Club, whatever. Thank you very much group. I don't know. So he says that from what everybody says, Ric Flair's match was horrible. This is Terry over at the YouTube channel. That's a women's division match, Joe. Oh, in the NWA, go figure. They should at this point bring back bra and panty matches in the NWA. That'll make it relevant. As far as the video game, I also have followed some of the screenshots and videos that they've done. Looking great. If they have to hold it back, Rick, I wouldn't have a problem with that, because too many times we've seen half-ass games done with WWE. And the last one, 2K20, not 22, but the last one, how horribly it was done. So I think if AEW's taking their time and if there's some time where they have to say, no, it's not going to be ready yet. We got to pull back. I'd rather have that than have a half-assed game. Talk about half-assed game. If you ever find it, it's probably in somebody's thrift shop. Look for TNA Impact Wrestling. That's a horrible game.
Oh God, I bought that, and the only thing I liked about it is that they had different different matches, like not different matches, but they had different arenas.
Yeah.
At the time, it was that was a 1+, and it was like not really saying much for the entire game. I beat the game in I think about 2 hours, if that. That had no creative character. That had nothing really. I think for the most part, you played as Suicide. I don't know if they changed his name again.
No, actually, depends on which version of the game you got. If I remember correctly, if you got the PlayStation 2 version, it did not have. Notice I said PlayStation 2. It did not have creative character. But if you got the Xbox 360 version, it had creative character.
Okay, so no, at the time I only had PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that, and I did create a character. It had more things than the other versions, but it wasn't by much. So storyline was the same. It was in the Xbox 360 version. It was just a little bit more elaborate, and the creative character was also a little bit more elaborate. There's not much else to say. I got it, and I think my son and I played it, and I think within an hour or two, we were already taking it back to the store to exchange it for something else. Right, and actually, we exchanged it for Legends of Wrestling 2, and that's for a PlayStation 2 game. So I'll have to do a stream on that.
Yeah, I actually played Legend of Wrestling 2, and it was a fun game. But like I said, despite it didn't have the creative character, but it just still had a lot of the great wrestlers, legendary wrestlers, obviously, hence the name. Did a lot of other just cool signatures that just really kind of brought you back to the 80s. So it's something that you wish you had seen back in early games where, Nintendo didn't really have that type of graphics and didn't have that opportunity. So you were kind of stuck with little figurines. Anyways, so right now there's a lot more. There's over 50 wrestlers got to be named. Cody Rhodes will be in there, along with Abaddon. Aubrey Edwards as a referee will be in there. I'm going on and on. So obviously you got the Young Bucks, Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega, CM Punk, Chris Statlander, Nyla Rose, Owen Hart. Wow, I didn't realize he was going to be in there. I just read that.
Yeah, Le Champion, Chris Jericho.
Yeah, Penta Oscuro, Thunder Rosa, and Yuka Sakazi. So and others. Yeah, it says Sakakazi, but I don't know if I can pronounce it the right way or whatever. So there you have it, guys. That's pretty much our main topics of the night. Not really a lot of stuff because I think we were mostly focusing on SummerSlam. But I do want to talk a little bit more about WWE and their changes with what's going on. Now, I saw the banner, the wallpaper, which I thought was pretty cool, where it said a new era is coming. But, Joe, we've heard a new era is coming time and time and time again. But with all the new changes in upper management, could we see a new era?
Oh, God damn. First of all, Terry says with AEW, this being their first game, it's important that they release good and with no flaws in game in the market. So in other words, they'd rather take their time, make this game perfect as possible with no flaws. So when it hits the market, it will be dominant in the market. He says Chris Statlander is in it too. Rick, we've sat down and we've gone through this many times with how many times these people have said, yes, we're going to a new generation, a new era, a new this, a new that. First of all, you got Stephanie McMahon, who's probably still hearing the voices of Vince McMahon in her headset, even though he's not there. It's remote, damn it. And you got her husband who's going to be there. So Nick Khan is already outnumbered. They said this so many times. I want to see some new direction. I want to see some of these people who are stuck in mid card or been pushed aside because you have Charlotte Flair, you have Sasha, and you have all these other people. You have Seth Rollins and all these people. I want to see somebody new. I hate to say this, but I want to see Theory move up. I want to see him do some shenanigan and win the world title. Get his ass whipped and beaten throughout the months until he loses the belt. But I want to see them prove it. Just because they did a good show Monday does not mean the direction's going in the right direction. So I need to see them follow through with another show and another show. Cut back on all these monthly big show like pay-per-views, like Clash at the Castle. Sounds like an old 16-bit video game. I want to see. I want them to go back to the old format of so many shows a year, or pay-per-view shows. Make them special. Make it that when we get to see it, we're not ho hum and we're not fucking drinking until we pass out. I want to see direction. I want to see a new talent rise up. I want to see the old talent either be put aside, go into mentorship, which we'll never see in WWE because they don't believe in that. I want to see something different. Right now, AEW beats them in talent-wise, the number of tag teams, the number of better women wrestlers, and at least some people showcase more than over in WWE. It's WWE, it's the Usos versus the Mysterios for the 1 billionth time. It's like there's nobody else in this world. So I want to see changes. When they can show me those changes, Rick, then I'll believe it.
And you know what? That's a very fair point, because like I said, you got to have the Usos who are retaining the titles, and you got Roman Reigns, who is pretty much one of the longest reigning champions in recent time. And there are other wrestlers, like I said, who've always gotten the shit end of the stick. We have seen Sheamus in the past win championships, but we've never really seen him be dominant. I hate to say it, Happy Corbin, I'd like to see him change a gimmick and become really dominant like he was down in NXT years ago when he first came in, and finally start moving up and maybe get that title. There's a lot of other people on that roster off the hand. Dolph Ziggler, for a long time, he was just a stepping stone. There's no reason why this guy does not have the talent to rise up. Yeah. Lance, over to you. Your thoughts.
Well, one thing I'd like to see them do, now Grant, we have heard, new era, new era, new era, new era. But that was when Vince was at the helm. And according to whatever, it looks like he ain't at the helm anymore. So I must say, ever since Triple H got the book about not last night, but Monday before SummerSlam, all three have been slowly turning the ship to a new direction. Now, one thing I'd like to see, maybe they can come up with some other gimmick matches. Because they hadn't come up with a new gimmick match since
Elimination Chamber.
Elimination Chamber in 01 or 2.
Yeah, it's been a while, and I think I don't think we're going to see a barbed wire death match anytime soon, Joe, in WWE. I don't think the wrestlers or even the company itself has that view.
But
no,
maybe War Games. They have the rights to the name of War Games, and they've used it in NXT.
But I think that's where we're going to keep it in NXT. But again, just all there's so many different possibilities that WWE can go in. Right now, I read one article regarding WWE's new creative is that they're going to work with the talent. They're going to start giving a little bit more, loosen the ropes, so to speak, where they are able to give more promos, give more kind of input to what they want to do for their creative characters and whatnot. And Joe, I know you as a promoter, you are not always on board with having wrestlers creating their own characters or even like having their own promos.
You know what? I don't have a problem with that, and I'm gonna drop a ball here. We are going to be redoing our shows. We actually got October where we are coming back, and that will be exclusively on YouTube. Everybody will get to see a new version of this wrestling company. We've got some great things happening, so it's going to be something great, hopefully. And I found one person. My booker came up to me and found this one girl. She is incredible. She's like an indie version of Abaddon with lucha abilities, with hardcore. Her character is so defined, I wouldn't even touch it. So there is no problem with seeing a new character in a new direction. Somebody coming and says, I got this character, I'm set, boom, look what I can do. It's when you if you bring a character in and don't know what to do with it. That's the difference with a lot of indie people and with major talent as well. When you look at their characters, you say, okay, define yourself. Come on, you got to give me something. That's when you give them a character, and that's when you help it run and help them develop it. Sometimes having an individual, and it's very rare that they have the talent, they have the promo skills, they have a character already set, it can be a good thing. Sometimes a little tweaking is necessary. But overall, my thing is, if a person brings a character in and it sounds good and the gimmick is sound and they can shoot a promo great, if they come in and their promos and their stuff doesn't match what I'm looking for, then I can help them tweak it a bit. Look at Finn Balor. Finn Balor was awesome as the demon.
Yep.
Yeah, the demon. And look what they did to him. Now he's playing Finn Balor and he's getting his ass whipped. Such a waste of talent. The guy is a natural. He could do better if they maybe modify it. Maybe give him a shirt top, a skin type shirt top with the imprint on it. Something that
you mean like a whole suit,
different. Right? Like something similar that he could be the demon, and he can still be himself, but be the demon and look the demon, because he's just plain Finn Balor. That's not going to impress anybody.
When he was in the Indies, Finn Balor also did, use his character as a prince, but he also did a lot of other like colorful gimmicks. Like I saw one time where he did like a Joker. He did obviously something like the Fiend, but it was more like just like a devilish type of look.
He has the Venom makeup.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So I don't want to see just one same thing. And I think that's the problem. I think it's kind of like Kane. You would only want to see him for so long, but you want to see him evolve. And then also, again, with Undertaker. We saw Undertaker go through several different gimmicks, but eventually he wound up going out as the original old-school Undertaker, although he didn't have the big, ugly silver gloves. But, that's pretty much it. So we're going to wrap up this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants. I want to thank Terry G for joining in. I also want to give a quick shout-out to our good friends, Mr. and Mrs. A over at BC Games and More, and they're over on Facebook in the group section. Just hashtag BC Games and More. Joe, you're over at Skeleton Realms. What's going on?
Right now, I am returning to streaming, so I'll be doing Dead by Daylight tonight. Get that going again. I also got, like I said, this wrestling company is going to take off again. We're putting all the final touches on it, so I'll be announcing that soon, as well as a virtual version of it. So there'll be the talent while they'll be in the ring for real. They also be doing a virtual version where they'll be lending their likeness to the game side. Besides that, I'm hoping to get this going. And before anything else, Terry would like to throw in one final comment. He says, with the whole thing with the conversation of the mid-card people, like lots of folks like Ziggler, Natty, and others will be put onto titles they normally haven't been able to get. Make it fresh, give the jobbers real job, not just put over folks. That'll be good. Bringing the indie guys to job and showcase themselves just like they used to be. That's how you get it done. Wait a minute. We got MH97. He says, "Hi guys, how's it going? Can I ask a question on here?" Absolutely, ask away. If it's perverted, we'll take that privately.
Come on, this is HWR. You know,
Yeah.
what do we do private?
Okay, fine. and if you want Zoe, you have to get to John Moxley first. You got to unlock his closet. Keep him down, quiet back there, down the ring. So while he asked that question, here's a what if, guys. I wanted to throw this question out to you while we are here and we're waiting for MH97 to go ahead with the question. What if this is a what if scenario? What if in the WWF, which is WWE today, a major situation changed? How would it affect wrestling today? So it could be anything. It could be a title change. It could be a wrestler debuting back in that day to change the current time now. I picked this as a what if. What if Andre the Giant beat Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3, said, "I'm not doing the job. I'm not putting him over. I am going over." How would that have affected the wrestling business till today? Rick?
You know what? Honestly, how it affects it today, I don't think it would affect it that much at all. I think as wrestling fans back in the day who would watch that live probably would have been like, what the fuck did I just see? You know, I kind of knew Hulk Hogan was going to win even as a young kid. But also, like I said, if that happened, I probably as a kid would have been freaking out, pissed off. But you know what? I don't think in today's mood would have changed anything. I don't know about you, Lance.
Well, it would definitely make Hulk Hogan's radio and other interviews a hell of a lot shorter because he always brings up and tells that damn story. But also, I don't know if his star power would be anywhere near what it was at one time. Because there was a whole Hogan slammed Andre. Hogan slammed Andre. Hogan beat Andre. If that doesn't happen, does he have the staying power?
Well,
Go ahead, Rick. I'm sorry.
Well, I gotta say, I mean, again, even if let's say Andre won the title, there's no way saying that somewhere down the line that Hogan could have won the title and just continued on, and they would have pushed Hogan probably even harder. So, I do, Joe. I know you had another topic, but there is a quick thing I read over on the HWR chat room. It's I guess the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, has considered going back as a manager, but he said if he could do this, it would be against young Dominic Mysterio.
Yes, I read that conversation that it was posted up, and Jimmy Hart, everybody, baby. He said he would like to manage Dominic. What an odd individual to choose, but I think a person like Jimmy. I love Jimmy Hart. I grew up watching him from back in the Memphis days with him and Andy Kaufman, Jerry Lawler, all the way up to the Hart Foundation, the Honky Tonk Man, to everything. I don't think Jimmy's star power would help Dominic right now because his style is so different. If this was like a tag team, maybe like I don't know, maybe grab two teams, somebody different. I think it would have worked because Jimmy would have brought more. But Jimmy is older. He's not as active and high energy like he was back in the 80s or even in the 90s. So I don't think it would have been a good fit. Dominic right now needs to find his own path. He needs to I think he's doing great. I was not in favor of the kid. He still looks like a person that you beat up. By looking at his face, you look like he got beat up every night for his lunch money. But he can actually, he looks like somebody that can progress on his own. Jimmy Hart's it's not necessarily needed. Okay, here is the question, guys. MH97 says, so a couple of weeks ago, there was a big buzz about Raw going back to TV 14 yet. And then on Friday, Pat McAfee says, we're not going TV 14 yet. However, PG now seems like it's here to stay. What is our opinion? Rick.
Well, I'm going to tell you, honestly, when it comes to PG-14 rating, I didn't see that happening overnight, especially now that Vince is gone. They're focusing on a lot of other changes. I think TV-14, I read one interview, you're going to see small changes. This came from Eric Bischoff. There could be a few things you can grab a hold of, and other things that are going to be just very slight. They're going to probably use a little bit more swears now. They're probably going to say, I think the bullshit. I don't think they're going to go full-blown attitude era where they're shoving sausages down their pants. I just think it's going to be very small, very gentle as it progresses. When the attitude era came, it was needed because they were losing to WCW. So Vince had to completely take the company and go in a 100%, total different direction. Excuse me. So that's why you saw all that shit happen literally overnight. So
right,
and that's pretty much what's going to happen. Somebody's
folks.
Ringing.
Yeah, that's on my end.
Right.
Lance, what do you think?
Yeah, it can't be done that quickly, or else you're going to alienate the whole damn crowd or the whole audience. So, will it ever? Possibly, but it's going to at least be a few months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My answer to that question, MH97, is this. I think they're trying to solidify the new leadership within WWE. They're probably looking at everybody, and they were not ready to make the change yet until they know they got their ducks in order. I think them announcing that they were going to go back to that more of an edgy type of programming was not going to work until Vince stepped aside or until they get somebody else in charge. And now that Steph, Triple H, and Nick Khan are now in the driver's seat, it's like watching the Titanic being driven by three captains. And they're all aiming for they're all trying to avoid the iceberg, but they're still going forward. It's still going to take a lot of time.
Whoa, what happened?
At Mass General Brigham Sports Medicine, you'll find sports medicine.
What? It's live.
Sorry, that was me. I had an advert on one of my things. I was looking on the internet real quick. Sorry about that.
Oh.
I was like, what the?
Stop watching.
So will we.
Stop watching.
I'm sorry.
Triple X video, please, or H Hamster, or Pornhub.
No, well, gee, thanks for ratting on me, Joe. We were supposed to say that was just between us, but
Joe at ScoldNewsRoom.com.
I know the email. Believe me, I've been sending hate mail all day today.
Yeah. All right, Terry. Final question for you guys. Well, final thing from Terry is he thinks Jimmy Hart, as old as he is, could work as a manager for Dominic, maybe as a mentor manager. Let's throw that out there, Rick.
You know what? Again, that's possible. But for that to happen, I don't want to see Jimmy Hart as a babyface when he did over in WCW with Hulk Hogan. I want to see Jimmy Hart the heel, and that would mean that Dominic would have to change his character completely and go heel. Not to mention he needs to shave that 80s mullet shit.
Hey, I got a mullet.
Yeah, but you're from you're from that era. This kid's like 22 years old, and I don't think my mullets were outdated back in the 80s.
Yeah, does it? I'm glad the camera's not on because I actually have a shirt that says retro, so that makes me retro. Lance, what do you think?
Well, you're right. He does need to, if they're going to have Jimmy work, which if he was to work, he needs to go heel because back in the day, he was one of the most annoying heel managers. So, yeah, he'd need to get Dominic over heel, but I don't know if that would ever happen.
Yeah, so I think that, go ahead, Rick.
So if anyone could make him go heel, I think, like I said, Jimmy Hart definitely would be a front runner.
Yeah.
Here's a thought on that real quick. Rick, what if, let's say the scenario did play out and Jimmy Hart did come back and manage Dominic. Could they do, and Lance, I know this is perfect for you too, could they do greatest of all time with an Intercontinental title? Because Lord knows, Honky got away with a lot of shit with the title with a lot of good challengers. Could they do that same magic with Dominic?
Like I said, they would have to repackage his gimmick. And if he showed a little bit more of a darker side, Then absolutely, because for as long as I've known, Rey Mysterio was never really a heel.
Nope, never.
I cannot place him once where so honestly,
closest thing he came to doing a heel run was when he joined the Latino World Order in WCW, but he was kind of having to fight against that.
Yeah, I remember that. And again, he wasn't really a full-blown heel. He was kind of like, okay, I'm on board with the heel faction, but I'm not really a heel. That's the way it rubbed off. And by then, the LWO, NWO, Blue WO was kind of like well overdone.
Yeah.
It was so. But again, we're going to wrap this up. I thank everyone in the chat room. And, of course, Lance, you're over at Lance Moss TV. What do you got going on?
Well, every Tuesday night, I go live with Lance Moss TV and friends. I never know who's going to show up. And, we shoot the shit for about an hour and a half to 2 hours every Tuesday during NXT. So if you don't like how NXT's going, come over and check us out.
All right. And again, later tonight over in the HWA chat room on Facebook, I will be covering Dynamite from beginning to end with stills. So if you guys for some reason can't watch AEW Dynamite, just head on over to the chat room. We also have a new rumors, and I will have a new babe of the day. So for the hardcore crew, I am your hardcore host, Rick Head, saying we'll see ya when we see ya.
Buy the shirt.
Yes, and if you guys do want to buy the shirt, just head over to SkullJamesRealm.live and you can go to the merch, hit that merch button, and you'll definitely see all the t-shirts there. Lance Moss, the Rick Head, my shirt, Zoe Nightshade, the Please Get Me Out of This Closet John Moxley shirt is all there. Make sure you go check it out. SkullJamesRealm.live, hit that merch button.